evening, everyone. Welcome to IQI International Property Zones Live. My name is Mandy Chen, the moderator of today's. So I'm very honorable to invite one of the very special speaker all the way from Perth. Okay, it's our managing director of IQI WA, Lily Chong. Lily, would you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good evenings. It's my pleasure. Has been invited to come to join to the live sections again. Wow, that is fantastic because Zoom actually makes us no distance right now, and we have, to be honest, right? Perth is very lucky because we are same time zone with KL. Okay, as Mandy has introduced myself, so I'm the director and licensees from IQI WA, and as a lot of you know already, I'm originally from Sabah, so I'm Sabahan. And we are so grateful. We joined IQI platforms August of last year, so we turn to be 1 year old very soon in another 30 days. And yeah, so as a lot of you guys knows, IQI WAs, right, we do provide like one-stop shop service. So we are not only it's like promoting some project, we do like, a lot of other service included as small as things like tax file number applications, tax, yeah, all this kind of support that we do on the grounds for our colleagues in KL. Yeah.
Yep. So happy anniversary to IQI WA in advance.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we go into today's topics, let's have a chat on the overview of the current real estate in Perth right now. Would you want to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. So I think there'll be a lot of people disappointed because I still remember in few months back, right, a lot of people's like actually texting me, right, expecting like the market is going to be crash in Australia. That is a lot of rumors say so. So and what is the update? So I think a lot of people were disappointed. As I say, we didn't actually have the market crash here, and we still, the property price is still quite firm. Even though we do have nationwide, right, we have a housing value drops by 1.3%. I think that is quite, 1.3 is like you don't actually feel that. So that was the performance in the last 2 months. And then I would say, right, the major reasons will be, of course, we are at a very low interest rate. Our cash rate is around 0.25%. And then during the times, right, when we have the pandemics, right, a lot of the bank actually provide these repayment holidays. Some of them even up to like 6 months. And then here the economy wise, some of them unfortunately they lose their job. But because we have this sort of like arrangements in like repayment holidays from the banks, right? Meanwhile, the governments also provide a lot of stimulus incentives and also financial support. For instance, like job keeper, job seeker, all this kind of package, right? That actually help like everyone on whole. And then we actually surprisingly we have more demands from the first home buyer. And also, as I mentioned in my previous sections, right, there is no people actually start to sillily start to discount their property. Actually, the stock in the market is not that much. So because of that, right, all the factors that I just mentioned, right, we still lucky, right, the price haven't been like what they expect, like yeah.
It's always good to hear that local market is actually doing well, and in fact that I heard that you are actually getting very busy for the past weekends as well, right?
Yeah. We are.
Okay.
We actually,
Okay. During the previous property zone, we did mentions about we did share some of the basic informations of the NRES investments. So today we are actually going into zoom into more detail. It's like what is so special about this investment and the uniqueness of this investment. And apparently, I know that from IQI WA that in fact this is one of the hottest investments in Perth now. Right, really?
Yeah. I do truly agree with that. Even though this is not something new, it has been in the market since 2008. As you can see, right, 2008 until now is like more than 12 years. It's not something new. Unfortunately, right, even though as Australians, right, not so many of us know, So needless to even say, right, people from overseas will know what is NRES. NRES, right, to like stand for the whole words called National Rental Affordability Schemes. So the ideas, right, it's come out from the federal governments to conjunct with our state governments with the aims, right, to increase the new and affordable rental housing, okay, and then try to help those like low and moderate income family by having some discounts with the rental. I mean, the maths is simple because expect at least a 20% discount. So let's say, right, if you have a rental which is around $400 per week, so you give a 20% discount, that is like, $80. But in return, the government give you once a year like 11,000. So just do a simple math. What do you think with the deal? You sacrifice $80 and then you actually get like around $200 back. So I mean, even though like as a normal business, I think it's a good deal. You give me 80, I give you $200. I think it's such a good deal. Unfortunately, right, the scheme actually has stopped since the budgets of 2014-15. And when the original plans, right, the government want to give 50,000 allocations. But when we reached the 38,000, the government actually capped at that 38,000. So there is no more allocation. So whatever we have in the markets right now, so is basically, at that moment when they stops, right, that's it, whatever they approved, they didn't get it back. So I think in the market right now, we are looking at around 1,000 allocations, and dominantly in WA. We have still around 847 is still in WA.
Yeah, because since the schemes have actually stopped for past, I think 5 years ago. In fact, right now, if you want to go to Melbourne and Sydney to look for NRES investments, probably you couldn't find any. So this is the only investments available in Perth right now. And I understand that since 2008, in fact, that incentive used to start from 8,000 AUD, right? So
That's
as
right.
the years goes up, then the incentive is actually goes up as well. So right now it's actually close to about 11,000 plus AUD. So if you convert to ringgit, it's actually about 33,000 ringgit Malaysia. So that is actually a huge amount when talk about incentive. And can you elaborate a little bit? I understand that this incentive is actually come from two components. Okay, one from the governments, the other one from the state governments, right? So how's that? How this component works?
Okay, so 25%, right, is basically from the state government. So once the financial, the calendar years for NRIs finish, right, because they have different kinds of calendars, different from our usual financial years. So once the calendar years for NRIs ends, right, you will have. In previous, right, we used to receive a check that is 25% of the whole amount, 11,270. So directly from the state's government in a check, okay? But now, right, in nowadays, right, there's no more check. They will just bank into your bank account. So a lot of people,
better, isn't it?
Yeah, faster. And then a lot of people actually overlook that. Like me in particular, I never check, and all of a sudden you just have the money coming in. Especially for people's, right, they have a couples, right, there will be a big chunk of money coming in once a year. And then for the another 75%, right, they actually give back to you or return to you, right, in a way of like tax returns, which means that, let's say, right, if you are an owner who owns one of the NRES property, so when you do your tax returns, right, you actually got the certificates from the governments once a year that's worth 75% of this 11,000. So you pass these certificates to your accountant. So if that year you need to pay tax, okay, so they will deduct that amount, like debit and credit methods. If that year you don't need to pay tax, let's say is zero, so you will get a 75% as a tax returns from the government. So there are two portions of that.
Yeah, so that means in short will be 25% is a cash allowance whereby they will bank it directly to your bank account, whereas the other 75% will be as a form of tax deductible or tax allowance, I would say.
Yeah,
All right.
tax return, because it's, to be honest, right, the full amounts like 11,270 is tax free. So when they give you back the monies, right, so there are two ways. One is in a cash format, one will be in the tax returns format, but they won't tax you for that 11,000. Yeah.
Okay, another very important question, as in, can foreigner invest in such NRES? Because I remember those days when this scheme started, governments actually wanted to encourage the local to invest in such scheme, right?
Yeah. Yes,
So
yes.
what about
Yeah.
are foreigners still entitled for this kind of investment?
Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. So the foreigner is definitely, you can buy NRES, because there's no difference from buying a normal investment house, as long as you meet the FRB requirements. For instance, the property itself must be a new property, okay? Because that is the one of the requirements for FRB. Of course, you need to pay our FRB fee, 5,800 right now.
Yep.
So, and then and the beauty of MRES, right, that you have no restrictions how many you can buy. You can buy as many as you want, even you are foreigner.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
you can
no
buy 10 MRES.
special requirements like you must be this form of income, or you receive this kind of income before you actually invest in NRES, or any particulars requirements or specials when it come to investment, or is per normal purchase like a normal properties? What is the difference?
It's just not one of the normal properties, just like one of my projects, right? I have like 120 units of them. It's only 40 units, right? Is with come with the NRES allocation. So which means that let's say you buy unit A, which is no NRES, or you buy unit B, which is with NRES, right? There's no difference. The transactions will be the same. The stamp duty will be the same. The settlement fee will be the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, there will be slightly different, which I can mention later on. Yeah.
Okay, so who will be the qualified tenants for this? Is this the normal tenants, or is there any like special requirement for such tenant in order to eligible for such incentive?
Okay, so the tenants itself, right, I mean themselves, right? They are still a normal tenants, which means that you need to have income, okay? And because when you go through the property managements, right, they will screen you just like a normal ordinary tenant. So you make sure you have incomes, okay? Because if you can't even have the income that to service your renters, right, they will not they won't lease out to you in first place, okay? Because they don't know if they can correct the rental or not. Sorry, my computer just okay. So just normal procedure. So you will be skimmed through, but there is something different. There is no minimums income requirements, right? So as long as you have income, because some of the incomes, right, maybe like students, right, the income may be from parents, and some of them actually got the subsidized from governments, like single parents or pensioner, things like that. But that is one thing difference for the MRES is there is a ceiling for the incomes. Okay, for instance, for adults, okay, if your income is more than 52,000, you are not qualified to live in. I mean, to get one of those property that is under NRES. So that is for single, yeah. But because the original plans from the government is try to help those people's, right, low and moderate income. So that's why when you have higher incomes, like you earning 100,000 as a single, you are not eligible for that. For a small family, like a couple with 2 children, as long as you not earn more than 107,000, 107, so you still entitled to rent one of those MRES property.
So regardless like what industry they are from, okay, whether they are from government sectors or private sectors, they can still opt for this incentive, right? So in order to rent a place which is in a prime locations, but with a much lower rental as to compare to the market one, which is 20% off difference, right?
That's right. That's right. Let's say your neighbor may rent 400 per week. You just pay like 320 per week. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any cost involved when it comes to all this NRES property in the form of investor as well as the tenant? Do they need to pay additional service charge for this kind of investment as well as renting this kind of properties?
Okay. For tenants first, there is no additional cost. You actually enjoy 20% discount, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for the buyer or the landlords, right? When you buy the property with the NRES allocations, right? Usually,
Mm-hmm.
government don't do free, yeah. They still charge, when the developers go and get the credit, I mean the NRES allocations, they need to pay
Mm-hmm.
for that. Like 1 year is around 1,000, application fee is another 1,000. But
Mm-hmm.
because the market for Perth, it has been so bad in the last 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I still remember when I was sales rep, like that was 10 years ago. We
Mm-hmm.
need to buy, we need to pay 5,000 up to 10,000 in order, if you want to buy a property, come with NRES, right? You need to pay for that NRES allocations. But
Oh, okay.
nowadays there is free because, as I says, right, the market has been so bad, right? The developer actually paid that money to buy the allocations and give to the owner as free. And then your properties, right, well, no difference. Like let's say you buy unit A or unit B, if they are similar type, there will be same price, but one with NRES, one without NRES. And then as a buyer, in my terms, you pay $11 to apply
Mm.
to get the apply for the NRES. But nowadays, come on, $11. No people actually charge for that. So
All right.
$11 also they don't count. Okay.
Okay.
Now come for the annual admin fee.
Mm-hmm.
Before you actually get your 11,000, right, the incentives, right, the governments, because they the whole things, right, is actually handled by the non-profit organizations, that what we call the
Mm-hmm.
consortium. So when they do the audits for the tenants, right, because there are two party actually do the audits. One is
Mm-hmm.
your normal property management, okay, just like the normal property. Another
Mm-hmm.
one's what we call is consortium. They actually will do the audits to make sure you actually rent out your unit to the qualified tenants. So these
Mm-hmm.
auditors, or I would say the consortium, they will actually have a very small admin fee that they charge around $800 per year, which they
Mm-hmm.
will deduct from your 11,000 before they pass the money to you. So you don't
Okay.
actually need to come up with any extra money. So
Mm-hmm.
this is all the NRES related money. But for the other costs, right, that's like, like council fee, strata fee, landlord insurance, you
That's
still
the
pay
same, right?
lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, still the same. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, for those that who just joined in, thanks for tuning in. Okay, today's we are talking about NRES investment and the uniqueness of this type of investments. Apparently, it's the hottest investments in Perth right now. Only at Perth. Okay, if you are
Yeah.
interested in this kind of investment, so this is the best time to actually grab one today. All right. So okay, the other things that we are talking about is like in terms of the tenants in order to qualify for it, right? So
Mm.
I have this understandings that the tenants normally are a bit higher quality compared to the normal tenant. Is that true?
I would say, tenants can be any kind color, can be anyone. So you cannot say in particular NRES is good or bad. They are all just tenants. They can be bad, they can be good. But to be honest, I would say in this way, okay, if you are paying 20% cheaper than your neighbor, let's say, yeah, I think you will be happy a little bit, so that you can still continue to enjoy the 20% discounts. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you mentioned about this, right, actually it's funny because yesterday's, right, I tried to see, right, what is the updates with because NRES, right, is very transparent. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
something, because sometimes people will think, right, wow, that is really like too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, in policy like this in Australia is very transparent. You just Google online, the governments have two websites that they will explain what is NRES. And then
Yep.
yesterday, I tried to see what is the demographic, because I sometimes I also very curious, like what sort of people actually living in these kinds of property. And
Mm-hmm.
then so I found, right, according to the latest demographic reports, right,
Mm-hmm.
like the people living there, right, is 18 to 54 years old. That is normal. And
Mm-hmm.
then surprisingly, a lot of them actually getting the pensions from and the allowance from the governments. So which means that part of their rentals, right, is supported by the government. For instance, people like
Oh,
single
all right.
single parent. Yeah, which is you happy. Like my sister's, right, one of her tenants, right, is a single mom with 3 kids. And then the
Mm-hmm.
government is the one paying the rental. hey, very on time, you know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then some of them actually like semi-retire, so they got the
Mhm.
pensions from the government as well. And then out of this, right, 32% of them actually have their wages and salary from the private sectors. And then their income, of course, as I mentioned just now, there is a ceiling. That's why the incomes, right, more than like 55% of these people's, right, actually earning 20,000 up to like 50,000. And also education, right, this is another good point that I'm quite pleased to read. And more than 51% of them actually with the university and college qualifications. So
Oh,
like
all right. So that's
yeah,
why I say
which
it's
means
like a little bit high profile in a way.
yeah, you can say in that way. I actually suspect a lot of them are students. You know
Oh,
why? Because
really?
parents can actually buy and rent to the kids. And to be honest,
Oh,
right, sometimes the kids don't pay rental, yeah. But at least the government will pay you the incentive. That's what
okay.
I see. Yeah.
So in other words, that students are actually in a way that can be qualified to actually rent such incentive
Yeah,
kind of.
definitely.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
definitely. Yeah.
Parents would love to hear this then.
Yes. Yes. I think this is a very smart move, you know, because you see, right, if you buy a property in here, okay, if you're going to let your kid to live in, right, I'm sure they don't pay rental. And then at least you got some subsidies from the governments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So which currently is people are practicing it or
Yes, they do. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
it's not like they're cheating because everything is by law. Because first, right, the student themselves still need to be eligible, which means that they have income to prove they're going to pay rental. Okay, they pay or not, we don't know. Maybe they do pay, and then the parents still give them back. But this is normal. They didn't do any illegal. Okay, and the
Okay.
same with the parents. Yeah, yeah.
So, those parents that's keen to send the children to Australia, perhaps this is one of the options for you to look at the investment.
Why
Okay,
not? You
so
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
why not? Okay, in
yeah.
fact, I would say that being invest in this NRES property, it seems like you have more benefit compared to the normal kind of investments. Okay, because one thing you are talking about, even though the rental has been reduced 20% below the market rental, but again,
Mm-hmm,
you are actually getting subsidized every year
mm-hmm.
from the government. But one thing I want to clarify is like they were saying that this NRES program is actually up to 10 years. Okay, but
Mm,
I understand that right now those NRES investment is actually up to 2026.
mm.
So why there is a difference?
Okay. So when the government just start to implement this NRS, right, the original plans in 2008, right, they want to, as I mentioned, they want to allocate 50,000 allocations, and then every allocation supposed to last for 10 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, okay, this is free money, yeah. It's very pain for the government as well. So
Mm-hmm.
when we have the 2014-15 budgets, right, the government actually cap it. That was, I still remember, that was after the 4 rounds. So every rounds, right, they allocate some credits to the markets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're up to the round 4, they didn't actually run the round 5. So that's why they stopped in 2014-15. And
Is
then
it because it's
also,
like a lot of overseas investor invest into this scheme instead of local, so therefore they
I'm not
stop
quite
it?
sure. Maybe Lina is the one who buy a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but to be honest, right, it's not easy decision. So the government actually stopped, and also I think that is also a politics behind because that's from the Labour Party and Liberal Party, all these kind of things. Yeah. So in 2014-15, right, during the times when they do the budgets, right, they stop it. And in the meanwhile, they also put a concrete, like they stop it. In
Mhm.
2026, right, the whole NRS will be totally stopped. So whatever in
Oh.
the market right now, right, is basically what has been approved that is
Mm-hmm.
included in that 38,000. So the
Mm-hmm.
government didn't actually say, okay, so now I allocate, I take it back. They didn't. So whatever has been approved and allocated, they just let it go. And also, I still remember between that times, right, some of the project actually didn't go ahead as well. So
Mm-hmm.
the governments, what they have done is they actually move the allocations to different projects. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you can see, right, in the market, they are still very like, it's not like like big chunks that is still available. That is still, I still remember 2 years ago when I have my last project in Rockingham, right? I thought that is the last, because I still remember my developer actually flew over to Eastern States, right? Talked to the federal government asking for more allocation, and he came back and he told me, Lily, that's it, we're not going to have more allocation. Out of sudden, right, end of last year, we start to see more allocations back to the market. And this is either is a substitution allocations, or that is the allocation has been approved but haven't been activated. So there are two different credit that is still in the market that you see. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
why
right
you
now,
never, you will, the max will be 2026. Yeah. It
so
won't
that
be
means
any, yeah.
yeah, so that means we have another like 6 more years to go. So
Yeah.
if you were to get like AUD 11,248 times 6, you probably are getting about 60 over thousands
Yeah. Still a good
AUD, which
money.
is, yeah, then when you convert to be a ringgit, I just checked today, so the
I heard it's
180,
going up.
yeah, it is 3.03. So you can actually get a saving, or I would say that incentive, tax-free incentive up to 204,000 ringgit. That's a
Yeah.
huge amount, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That's
amazing.
why I say sometimes it's too good to be true, you know, because people will say, "Hey, we got like Cantonese come tiger cup la choy gai tiu," you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, they won't believe it, because to be honest, right, I when I was in KK, right, I keep telling people it's not because we don't want to sell to overseas. When we start, right, as I say, we need to pay, right? Even, right, I still remember when I was a sales rep, the developer will tell me, Lily, you want to get the credit, fine. First, your client need to pay the money. And second, you have to sell 4 normal property in order to get 1 credit. Let's say, right, I have to sell 10 property and got only 2 credit. When I get the 2 credits, right, I will tell my best friend, I will tell my best client, I will buy myself, you know. There is no allocations that we can sell to overseas. That is one thing, okay? And second, right, you know, for us, right, to expand the NRES, right, you spend another 2 hours, right? I would rather just go straight and tell you how beautiful the building is. Sometimes there is a lot of explanation, the calculation to find evidence to prove this is government website, all this kind of thing. Sometimes that just don't be bothered, you know. Yeah, yeah. But I
Okay.
think the key is there is no credit enough to sell to overseas. Yeah.
All right. So in other words, that I would say that in terms of the cost compared to the normal investments, I would say that NRES probably you have to pay a little bit slightly more. Okay. But at the
The
end of
cost,
the day,
yeah.
yeah. But at the end of the days, if you were to offset against the tax-free incentive you receive, is nothing. I would say is probably
Yeah.
only a few $100 differences, right?
Yeah, you actually get more, you know, because
Yeah.
because we do a lot of comparison before, right? Even the returns that you get through NRES, right, will be even better off than you get through the rental guarantee. Yeah.
So under this NRES investments, clients can go by the normal procedure, even though they can actually opt for financing options as well, right? So not necessarily buying cash, right?
No need, no need. Yeah. If you want to buy cash, will be fantastic because you got like at least 11,000 already tax free. Okay, but you don't actually, because as I mentioned, right, this is just a normal property, no difference from NRES or non-NRES. Because just like one of my project, 120 units, you know, we have only 40 of them with NRES. So regardless you buy unit A or unit B, NRES or non-NRES, right, the procedure will be exactly the same. You still go to the bank and to get your loan as usual. Yeah.
Okay, for those the audience who just logged in, thanks for joining us at this International Property Zone. If you have any questions with regards to NRES, this is the best time for you to ask Lily, our specialist in NRES investment. All right. So any questions, or any one of you have heard of NRES, and even though you are not, but after hearing what we discussed now, I'm sure you would believe that this is actually a good investment. So you can actually consider about this NRES investments. All right. So what kind of matters or issues that we need to be alert, especially for investor when come to invest in NRES? So any particular things that they need to take a note of it, or any different?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they're still, you know, like even they are very good, there is nothing called perfect in this world. Okay, there's always something, but it's not that we just need to be aware of. For instance, okay, you're going to give a 20% discounts with the renter. But regardless what sort of rental you are going to get, let's say, right, you can buy a very luxury one. You can even buy in Sydney. They also have very minor, like 300 of that. I think I never see the stock, but they say there is still 300 location in Sydney. Let's say, right, you buy a very luxury unit. You give the rental is $800. So basically 20%. I mean, Sydney maybe 30%, right? You need to give $240 per week discount. But in returns, right, you still get the fixed returns, 11,000 per year, around $200 per week. Okay, so even like in Perth, you buy let's say in Byford's, we have a house. It's only 290,000. The rental is around 250 per week. So you give $50 discount, you still get the same 11,000 at the end of the year. So that is one point. Regardless how much discount you give, your return is always fixed. So that is you need to aware with. And second, you make sure you can handle the 20% short, because your renters, right, you give the discounts, yeah, but the incentive from the government is only once a year. It's not every month. So make sure you can handle that 20% short. Okay. And then come to your tenants, as I mentioned, right, there is a income ceilings. Okay, so which means that it's not like a normal property where you go to the open market that you can get anyone, even like 100,000 or 200,000 still can rent your unit. But this one, there is a ceiling. There cannot be more than 52,000 as a single. So that is something that you need to be alert with. And then the owner cannot decide the renter, because the renters will be judged and fixed by the consortium through independent valuer. So you can't judge, you can't decide what sort of rental you want, because they will do independent valuations. And also you cannot manage rental yourself, because NRES properties, right, is only allocated to those accredited NRES manager. Even IQI WAs, right? We do have property management, but we also cannot do the management for that.
So
you
it's
need
not
to
like a normal ordinary agents can actually handle the NRES investment. So once investor who bought into NRES investment, they need to look for the specialized agents who focus on the NRES property management.
Yes, because they have to go through a lot of documentation. So of course you can apply that. You can go to join the class, and then you become the accredited manager. You can do that. So, they wouldn't say, okay, they only give to certain people. They open to the market, but you need to go to the class to to attend and be qualified. So that is, yeah, right. So one thing, and then also, as just now you mentioned, right, NRES is only up to 2026. Okay, there's no more so-called 10 years NRES. So it's only the max will be 2026, mid of 2026. And what else? And NRES is not for every state right now. Basically, it's only in WA. It's not every suburbs, and not every project with NRES, because to be honest, government is very particular in picking where they want to allocate NRES as well. So for some of the suburbs, unless they think that, have to remember, the government chip in, right? They paid 11,000. They have to make sure, right, you really help somebody. They don't want to go into the suburbs, right, where there will be vacancies. Okay. And then NRES only for new property. Okay. Let's say you have an old house. Yeah, old house. You say, okay, I go to get some NRES allocation, and then I rent out. So that is not possible. So NRES can only go for those never leased and then totally new property. So I think that's, basically the points that you need to be aware of. Yeah.
So in other words, we are saying that NRES must come from the developer, okay, and that must be off the plan, okay. Even though it's already completed, some projects do entitle for NRES, and as long as it's not in the secondary market, right?
Yes, and never be leased out. Yeah. Even you lease out, like even they're new, they're leased out, you cannot get the NRES allocations. Yeah.
Okay. So the other factor is what about the property management fee? Since that you are talking about there are more work to be done, okay, and they only have a specialized properties agents in the markets who can handle this kind of cases. So will they charge much higher of the property management fees compared to the normal investments?
Okay, I don't think they are extreme higher. Okay, so the normal property management fee right now, I mentioned normal, not those people try to purposely charge only 5.5% or 6%. In the Perth markets, right, the normal property management fee we are talking about around 8.5% up to 8.8% plus GST. So it's around 9.35%. Okay, so for NRES properties, right, we are looking around 12%. Okay, it sounds like slightly higher, 12%, yeah. But the thing is, you have to remember, you have 20% discounts with your rental. Because when they charge your PM fee, right, it's based on your rental, your net rental.
Yep.
So if you discount 12% by, 20% of this 12%, right, I think it's still around 10%. So 9.35, 10%, yeah, it's slightly higher, but not extreme. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Understand
And with
that.
the number of jobs they are doing, right, the documentation they have to do to report to the governments, right, I really think it's not like extreme high. Yeah.
Okay. So what about in another scenario, as in the investor who actually invest in NRES properties? So let's say, for example, it's already completed, okay, and they just got the keys and they rent it out and all these things. So probably before 2026, or probably like 3 years after you take over the keys and everything, it decided to sell. So can this NRES be continued to the next buyers, or it will stop immediately?
Now, okay, so when you sell your properties, right, before the NRES finish, right, you have two options with the new buyer. Sorry, I would say it's right, the new buyer have two options. Either they continue, okay, they enjoy that NRES, or, okay, they can, let's say if they are one of the owner occupied, let's say the tenant actually bought the unit. So of course, there will be no more NRES. Okay, because it depends what is the purpose when you purchase that unit. If you're going to live in, of course, there will be no more NRES. But if you are going to continue as an investor, and these investors, right, by the way, yeah, must be local, yeah, because foreigner, as you know, they cannot buy second-hand property. So you can continue. Yeah, there is options for that. But to be honest, right, up to this moment, I hardly see people sell their NRES property. Hardly. I never see like
Before
people, right?
the NRES ended, right? So they will
Yeah.
enjoy the maximums tax-free
Yeah.
incentive first before they sell it off, right?
Yeah, actually, if you have the free monies, right? To be honest, like local people's, like they can easily with one NRES properties, right? Their positive gear is around 8,000. Of course, depends on what tax bracket they are. They can easily from 6,000 up to 8,000. If you buy one property, you have already positive gear with 6 to 8,000, right? I really don't see the point you want to sell. Like you basically have a side income, But why you sell? If you own like 5 of them, just imagine each year you have nearly 40 up to 50,000 positive income,
Yep.
Yeah. I have a case study with that one because I always share, right, in my seminar in Perth. There is I have a client earning 100,000, paying 27,000 tax. Okay. Every year ends, right, he receive around 40 up to, I think this year he will get 50,000 because I think recently he has the NRES, one of the NRES, right, full year claim. So he will get the tax returns around 50,000. So imagine, yeah, you earning 100,000, you are paying 27,000 as your tax. But during the year end, you get your tax return back, you get 50,000 back. What do you think?
Wow.
I think it's quite a good deal. You
Yes,
know what I
it
mean?
is. Yeah.
And then this guy is still claimed as low income and get another $600 back. Yeah,
But
I
will they
always show his tax returns. Yeah.
but will they really qualify the tenants, like every year they will go through whether they have exceed the income before they actually qualify again, or normally they don't check, they only check once?
Yeah, they do. They do. But how
Oh, okay.
frequent they check now, to be honest, I never be like, because me myself also have one in Brisbane. It has been my NRS already like 6 or 7 years. But to be honest, right, first I have no idea who is in that unit, and I have no ideas, right, how they audit the tenants. I just know that, right, this nurse, right, the first one is nurse. I don't know what is the latest one, and she has been so good. She never really want to move, and then I think 2 years after she is in my apartments, right, her income actually more than that ceiling. I still
Oh.
remember, right? My PM told me, right, she would rather to stay in the unit instead of increase her pay, because the pay she increased, right, cannot, because in Brisbane, right, they give 30% discount, so cannot compensate, right? Yeah, cannot compensate, right, to like the enjoyment she has through the NRES. So because of that, she would rather keep the same salary but enjoy the apartment. But anyway, she eventually moved out. I still remembers, right? The contract, right, is end in September. So she informed us in February, 7 months before. But I got the tenant waiting for that unit since May. So that's how good it is. And recently we have a couple in one of our projects in Kennington. I mean, one NRES, right, 40 people apply. And in another suburbs like Gosnell, right, people may think, wow, that is very bad suburb. But that particular unit, we have 70 applications. So I think it's not too bad.
I actually seen some of the articles and some of the video from the website as well, especially on the NRES property. The amount of people who queuing it to do the inspection is huge. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think everybody also opt for this kind of NRES properties. Okay, the other thing, right? Would that be affecting any of the bank valuations when come to these NRES properties?
Not really, because unless they are being biased or else, right? Because it won't say it's okay, this one is NRES, this one is not NRES. So the one with NRES got toilet, the one no NRES, no, the one no NRES got toilet, the one with NRES got no toilet. There's no such thing, because there will be identical same unit. Because just for example, you know the Crescents you have in receipts, right? We also have 5 allocations with that. We only get that allocations right after the the completions of the unit. So the developer never built that buildings, purposely to devalue some of the unit just because they are going to put NRES in. Because in his original plans, right, he never think of putting NRES into that unit, okay? Because there is a demand, so that they decide to put some NRES allocations there. So there will be the same unit. So it come to the valuations, right? Unless the valuer purposely have bias with NRES, or else, right, in the normal circumstances, right, there shouldn't be. Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, no valuation difference. What about the depreciation side? Would that be the same as well?
Yes, that will be the same, because depreciations, right, is based on the value of the, like, I mean, what is the content of the apartment. So of course there won't be difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in short, it's like there's no difference when it comes to the normal property investment compared to the NRES investments.
No. No.
Okay. The other thing is like, is NRES only applicable to condominium apartments, or it actually applied to both house and land and condominium as well?
Yeah, they NRES, right? First, right, when the governments allocate NRES, right, it depends on the suburb where there is a rental demands, okay? Because as I say, right, they have to ensure there is a demand for that. They won't just like if you go to the government's quarterly reports, right, you will see, right, the government actually allocate NRES according to the postcode. Okay, some of the postcode, of course, they will never got NRES, like some of the suburb like in Perth, like Dalkeith, Cremont, there won't be. Okay, because also the incomes for the people over there, right, to be honest, right, they will be way too high. So you wouldn't actually get the tenants there. And then so for come to NRES, right, you, as I say, right, they will be very identical. So there won't be difference from regardless their apartments or their landed. Okay, even we have some of the properties, right, is dual key. Dual key means, right, there are 2 living areas. Okay, I have one project in Dayton's, right, where the NRES, right, is actually allocated to the studio. Wow, this is significant with the U, because the 3x2, 2 living. So just imagine the max. Yeah, this particular unit we are selling around 460,000, if I recall right at that time. Okay, 460. In the normal rental markets, right, if you are lucky enough, the whole unit you rent out, you may get $400 per week. Okay, because they are dual key, they are separate into 2. So the downstairs is 3x2. So you rent out, let's say, $300 per week. Okay, the upstairs is a studio. Okay, studio with their own living area, kitchens, everything. Okay, so you list out that one because it's if this one without NRES, right, you lease out $150 per week. Okay, so because it's NRES, so you give 20% discount. So basically, you give $30 discount. So you rent out 120. Okay, and then you get $200 from the government. So now you calculate what is the profit you are going to get. 3 by 2, you get 300. So the studio, you got only 120. So it's 420 already.
Yep.
Now you got the $200 from the government because of the $30 that you sacrificed. So 420 plus the 200, so you basically get $620 for that property. Yeah.
Wow, basically you have a positive cash flow then.
Always, because with this kind of property, right, there is no way you can get the negative, because it's basically
Wow,
that is why right, one of our projects, right, sold out within a day.
Wow, because of all this unrest.
Yes. Yeah, because you're going to lease out separate lease, right? That is the yield that you're going to get. Just imagine 620s, right? Come 30,000. Yeah, very good yield. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure you own quite a few units of NRES, right?
No lah. Someone else. Actually,
Okay.
a lot of my colleagues, they actually own a couple. Yeah, because to be honest, right, just like the example I show you, if you're earning 100,000, you pay 27,000 tax. At the end of the year, when you get your tax returns, right, you get 50,000. What do you think? I think it's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually very attractive. So for those that will just join in, I'm sure you right now you probably have a better understanding of how this NRES investments work, and in fact, it's a good investment. So let us summarize a bit on this. In fact, why this investment is so unique, because number one, we are talking about tax-free incentive. We will receive tax-free incentive of 11,248 per year up to 2026, which is 6 years. So total incentive we're going to receive is about 67,488. If you were to convert the to ringgit based on the current exchange rate 3.03, so you have about 204,000 kind of incentive in your pocket. All right. And the other thing better
than buying lottery.
and this is very secure because the incentive is actually come from governments and the state government. So you do not have to worry that halfway through the incentive will stop. Okay, so this is actually. Is there a contract that you sign with the governments with orders?
Yes.
Okay.
There will. The allocations actually will come right when you do the purchase, and to protect the buyer, usually we will put into the contract as well, like as a variations, right, just to make sure, right, there will be a credit waiting for them after the settlements. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, this is a very safe investment. So of course, we are talking about capital growth is still the same, because you are buying as per normal properties. When it comes to capital appreciation, is still the same, whether is it NRES or normal properties. But in terms of the tenant wise, I think will be more appealing because it's lower rental. Okay, and you have associate bodies to actually qualify the tenants for you that in order to rent these NRES investments. So even though you collect lower rental, but yet you are actually getting more incentive, and which you would have positive cash flow every month. I mean, this is actually very important. And the other thing is like, we no other difference compared to the normal property. You can actually opt for any financings available, so not necessarily you just need to buy cash. And in terms of the cash flow, I would say that it's probably better cash flow because you have every year you have additional money come from governments, okay, and it's tax-free. And I understand that a lot of these NRES properties investments is actually allocate to those areas that which is actually prime area, okay, not some suburbs or which is relatively new. So there is a demand, okay, so therefore the vacancy rate is actually much lower, okay. And the other thing is like for seasoned investor, I would say that this is probably the best to build your portfolio, because in terms of the positive cash flow and the tax savings, so if you were to group it together at the end of each year, you probably don't have to pay so much tax. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then one thing's right, because a lot of the overseas investors, right, that is just in addition to what you just mentioned. Because a lot of people, when they approach us, right, they always ask a rental guarantee, rental
Yeah.
guarantee. I would say is right, rental guarantees, right, is, to be honest, right, provided by a private sectors. Okay, they can go in any times. Okay, if the economy come to very bad. Okay, but these ones will be kinds of like guarantees by the government. So they will give you the 11,000, right? Regardless you rent out or not. So there is, if you check online, right? If you vacant up to 26 weeks, which means that half year, you still can get the full incentive. So I will take NRES like a safety net, because if I can't rent out my unit, at least I
Mhm.
get already 11,000 from the government. If now I am on unit B, which is no NRES, right? So if I
Mhm.
cannot rent out, right, I
Yep.
am taking the whole loss myself. Okay, that's
Yep.
how I see it. Okay, and also as I say, right, you still can rent to your kid, your friend, your relative, as you desire. Of course, they still need to be eligible. If your kids, right, is earning too much, of course you cannot lend out to them. Yeah. And
Okay.
you are right, because it will help for your holding costs until you see your capital growth, because it will be easier because you positive gear from day ones, right? So
Mhm.
will be much easier to hold. Yeah.
Okay, and I think this trigger one of the point, as in, even though during the pandemic, so no matter how tenant ask for lower rental and all these things, the 20% is actually fixed. They can't like immediately jump to like I want to ask for 40% down,
Yeah.
reducing
Yeah.
the is kind of fixed. So therefore, it's actually a very safe investment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open to the floor. Anyone have any questions with regards to this NRES? So feel free to ask and actually leave in the comment box. We will try to answer it. Otherwise, you can actually go to our IQI global website to check out the projects that actually offer NRES investment. So again, not many projects that qualify for NRES, only applicable in Perth, okay? And not all the projects in Perth are eligible for NRES. Only certain projects are eligible for it. Of course, if you want to know more detail, you can always leave down your comment in the comment box. We will actually get back to you on this. All right. So anything to add, Lily, before we end this session?
Okay. Yeah. So MRES, as we mentioned just now, there's no difference from a normal property. Okay, and it's only up to 2026.
Yes.
Regardless, if you're interested, act fast, because we still have not so much, to be honest. Okay, we quite because MRES is still doing very well right now in the local markets. Because when you are not, this is how I see investment. If capital growth is become uncertain, at least you get the cash flow on your hand first. Okay, at least in the next 6 years there's nothing that you need to worry,
Mhm.
because I know some of the parents actually invest into the properties, right, just for the sex, right, the kids will come eventually. So let's say if your kid is only primary, so in 6 years, that is the times when they finally finish their high school. So there will be a perfect timing. At least for the next 6 years, somebody is paying for you to hold
Yep.
that property. Yeah, that's how I see. Yeah, yeah. Of course,
Even
there
though
are still a lot of grants. Yeah.
yeah, even though with rental guarantee, it's like I have experience that I have properties in Australia come with rental guarantee, but because during this pandemic, they actually take back the rental guarantee. So sad.
But yeah, I know some things like that. You come back then. I mean, even they want to do some things, right? Because the market is so terrible. I even see some of them actually they give 4 years, 7% guarantee in Hong
Yeah,
Kong, right?
yeah.
Oh my goodness! End up they just close the property management department. End up the tenant actually the landlord actually approaches for help. There's nothing much we can help. It's not on my project, by the way, but they approach us to rent for them. So, but when I look at the terms, right, I told them already it's too good to be true, and it's owned by a private company. That's why they cannot handle, you cannot keep top up for, 4 years. That's why, But
But 4 years
NRES,
is
right?
actually not the longest that I heard. I heard about 10 years.
Serious.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's
That's why
really
that is
too
so
good
good,
to
too
be
good to
true.
prove. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the government's ones, right? Because the intentions, right, is not because they want to make sales. Okay, you have to remember that the intentions for the governments to have NRES, right, is because they want to increase the affordable rental for the local people instead of they build themselves, right, which costs them a lot of money and pack pumps, right. NRES will be the faster and easier way because they basically lock in 10,000 per year for 10 years. Is just the cost is, I mean, the cost for the government is only 100,000. Just
Yep.
imagine, right, if they start to build, right, the cost is more than 100,000. Yeah, that's why I think it's a really win-win situations. Yeah,
For government as well as the investor and the tenants, the three party will actually benefit one
exactly.
another. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
this is actually, in fact, yeah, it's actually a very good investment. Sadly to say that because it's already ended. Okay, so right now we
yeah,
still have some quota for you all to grab.
yep,
So take this
yep,
opportunity if you're really ready and looking for good investments with good cash flow. And I
mm-hmm.
think this is one of the options that you actually should consider. Right, Lily?
Definitely. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Because I know that a lot of grant recently in Australia. Okay, we do have the federal grant, the state grant, stamp duty rebate. At least this one's right is open for overseas as well. Because like our federal grants, right, that is only for the citizens. So you may not be able to enjoy that. But at least this one is definitely you can enjoy that. Yeah.
Okay, since you mentioned that the grant, the stamp duty
Mhm.
saving, right? Will this NRES property applicable for the stamp duty saving as well, which is a 75%?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For
Double
instance, one
bonus.
of our you enjoy because like for overseas, right, definitely can enjoy three grants. Okay, one is our state grants that you have to buy house and land package. You will get 20,000 from the government. Okay,
Mhm.
so we do have project with that if you want to enjoy 20,000. Okay, and then the 75% the stamp duty rebates, which Mandy just mentions, right? We have two different types. One is capped at 50,000. One is capped at 25,000. So if off the plan, okay, haven't started yet, we do have that one as well. So we have one project in Belmont that is under that category. So you can
Oh,
enjoy the cap up to 50,000 and then you still enjoy NRES. And
wow.
for the 25,000, we have another project in Kennington. We sell like hot tank. I think we still have 10 more units to go. Then we sort out the NRES part of the whole project. So at that one's right, we still can claim 25,000. And I'm not trying to make a hard sell here because today is 30th of July already. The incentive that we have, right, we have additional incentive from the developer, but we're only up to tomorrow, 31st of
Oh,
July. So
oh.
that's why those like that's why I don't even want to mention because I feel like very hard sell, like people will think,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they will try to get sell. That's why they say the deadline is tomorrow.
Okay.
The incentive from the developer had been run since June, so it has been extend for one more month, July. So June and July. Unfortunately, tomorrow is end of July. Yeah. If you
Oh,
come up with an
okay.
EOI, happy to negotiate. Okay. Maybe developer is listening as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So for those that who is actually ready, okay, wanted to look for a good investment, so act fast, okay, before it's too
Yeah,
late, okay.
that's it.
And yeah, so thanks for joining us, our live property zone. I think it's about times for us to end here. So remember to tune in every week, 8 o'clock. Especially on Thursday, okay, we have different topics to talk about, to share with you guys, especially on the international or even on the local as well. Okay, stay tuned with us. Okay, my name is Mandy. Okay, we are here signing off, and I wish everyone a good night and have a great weekend tomorrow because tomorrow is public holiday in Malaysia.
Oh, is it? Lucky you guys. Okay, enjoy the holiday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thanks Lily for sharing such an insightful information with us, and with this that we actually enlighten us is like in fact NRES is indeed a good investment. Thank you very much, Lily. Yeah,
Thank you,
have a nice
everyone. Yeah.
weekend. Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
Mandy.
a lot. Yeah, bye bye everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.